Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. This is a B1 level grammar lesson. Today we're continuing to talk about linking words for expressing contrast. So there are many ways to express contrast in English. We have the coordinators, but and yet, subordinators, although, even though, while, whereas, despite, and in spite of, and transitions or linking adverbs such as nevertheless, nonetheless, however, on the one hand, on the other hand, in contrast to, then again, and conversely. Yet and but have similar meanings but are slightly different. She's a doctor, but she teaches on the side. She's a doctor, yet she smokes. Yet is usually used to show more contrast or surprise. He's a great father, but he's quite strict. He's a great father, yet he was a terrible husband. Now we're going to talk about although. So look at the two sentences below. I did well in the interview. I wasn't offered the job. So these two sentences have contrasting ideas. We can combine these sentences in two ways. Although I did well in the interview, I wasn't offered the job. I wasn't offered the job, although I did well in the interview. When we use a dependent clause with although at the start of the sentence, we place a comma after the clause. When we use a dependent clause with although at the end of the sentence, we don't use a comma. Although I did well in the interview, comma, I wasn't offered the job. I wasn't offered the job, although I did well in the interview. So no comma when the although is second. So now practice combining the two sentences using although. You can pause the video and try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. He walked to work although it was raining. Although she studied, comma, she failed the test. Although he hurt his leg, comma, he finished the race. I prepared dinner although I was tired. He obtained an A+ on his paper although he didn't read the book. Although they worked hard, comma, they didn't complete the report. Although I didn't hear you knock on the door, comma, I'm sure that I was home. Though is the same as although, but a little more informal. Though it was Sunday, he decided to go to work. Though can come at the end of a sentence. It was Sunday, he decided to go to work though. Even though is a little stronger than although. Even though it was Sunday, he decided to go to work. You have to be careful. Though is not the same as through. They're spelled very similarly, but through is a completely different word with an entirely different meaning. Despite and in spite of have the same meaning. The sentence structure, you can use despite plus a noun. So despite the rain, we went to the park. Or despite plus a gerund. Despite having a headache, he still went to work. In spite of can also be used with a noun. In spite of the time, he decided to eat dinner. Or in spite of plus a gerund, in spite of being tired, he went to the party. Remember, although is followed by a clause and despite is followed by a noun or a gerund. We can combine the two sentences below in different ways. He had a pain in his leg, he completed the race. Although he had a pain in his leg, comma, he completed the race. Despite or in spite of having pain in his leg, he completed the race. Or despite or in spite of the pain in his leg, he completed the marathon. Now combine the two sentences using your own words. You can pause the video, try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check the answers. We didn't have enough money. We decided to buy the car. So although we didn't have enough money, comma, we decided to buy a car despite not, oops, not having enough money. We decided to buy a car. I was very tired. I wasn't able to sleep. Although I was very tired, I wasn't able to sleep. Or despite being very tired, I wasn't able to sleep. He rides his bike every day. He is old. Although he is old, he rides his bike every day. Or despite being old, he rides his bike every day. Whereas is a conjunction that is used to show contrast between two people, things, or situations. He loves to travel, whereas his family loves to stay at home. Whereas many Europeans speak two languages, most Americans only speak one. So you notice the direct contrast between two things. In sentences that show contrast, while can be used in the same way as whereas, but be careful, while is also used to show time. The north is cold and dry, while the south is hot and wet. The north is cold and dry, whereas the south is hot and wet. So now choose whereas or although. There is a difference in meaning between although and whereas. Although implies that there should be a causal relationship, but whereas does not. So again, you can pause the video, try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So one daughter is studying to be a doctor, whereas the other daughter dropped out of school. I got lost, although I had been there many times. Although we have only known each other for a short time, we get along really well. Whereas she likes jazz, I prefer blues. He is very tall, whereas his brother is rather short. Nonetheless and nevertheless both mean despite what has just been said. We use these words before an unexpected result. I'm busy this weekend, nevertheless I'll come to your party. I'm busy this weekend, nonetheless I'll come to your party. We can also use the expression even so. I'm busy this weekend, even so I'll come to your party. I don't really agree with you, even so I guess we can go ahead with it. All right, so now you can construct your own sentences using nonetheless, nevertheless, and even so. Um, there's no real right or wrong answer. You can choose what you would like to put in these sentences. And if you would like to share them in the comments in order to generate some conversation, that would be great. However, and nevertheless are used to join two sentences that introduce opposite ideas. Nevertheless can only be used when the second sentence shows an unexpected or surprising result directly related to the first sentence. Tomas has lived in New York since he was a child. Nevertheless, he still speaks English with a Spanish accent. Tomas has lived in New York since he was a child. However, he's never been to Boston. You can't replace nevertheless with however. You can replace nevertheless with however, but you can't always replace however with nevertheless. So now practice however and nevertheless. Change the sentences to two sentences using however or nevertheless. You can pause the video, try this on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. She told the truth. Nevertheless, her parents didn't believe her. She'd lived in the United States for 2 years. Nevertheless, she didn't speak English. He calls himself a vegetarian. However, he eats fish. He has broken 2 fingers. Nevertheless, he played the entire game. He completed the homework by himself. However, it's impossible to believe anything he says. We can use the phrases on the one hand and on the other hand when we are speaking about two different facts or opposite ways of thinking about a situation. On the one hand, it would be nice to have a higher salary. On the other hand, I'm not willing to work on the weekends. On the one hand, he's a productive employee. On the other hand, he doesn't get along with anyone in the office. So now you can practice on the one hand and on the other hand. And again, you're going to come up with your own contrasting idea. You can try these on your own. Share your ideas in the comments if you'd like some feedback. Instead and instead of are used to indicate contrast when one thing or action replaces another thing or action. He didn't invite me to the school dance. Instead, he invited my best friend. Instead of is followed by a noun or a gerund. Instead of apologizing, she just continued as though the incident had never happened. We didn't go to the party as it was raining. Instead, we stayed in and watched a show on television. Instead of enjoying dinner, they had an argument. And again, you can practice instead using a statement of your own words. And you can share these if you would like in the comments in order to get some feedback and start some conversation. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share, participate in the comments. It really helps the channel. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.